When I was younger, I used to go on walks with my best friend, and she would always like get upset with me because she was like, "Don't step on the crack." And I was like, "What do you mean, don't step on the crack?" And she's like, "Oh, it's because there's this saying that if you step on the crack, you're gonna break your grandma or mom's back."
I think mama. No,
Grandma
your
or
mama's
mama?
back.
Your mama's back?
Yeah, it sounds like something a kid would say.
When I was walking for some time, I would stop stepping on the sidewalk lines because I was like, how about if it's true? Is there like a superstition that you grew up with that people would constantly remind you of, or something that you might believe? I mean, my grandma's back never, or my mom's back, not that I know of, it didn't break.
I don't really believe in superstitions, but I remember as a kid I avoided stepping on the crack, so I think that superstition probably influenced me to a certain degree, right? Because I've been avoiding cracks since a kid.
You still do it?
Yeah, like when I'm walking, I try not to step on the cracks, but it's just like unconscious behavior.
I'm different. I used to skip the gums on the floor. They were black, and I would always like
In
just
LA,
go
that I
around
think that's
them.
harder than not stepping on cracks.
Yeah, because there's a lot of them.
They're-
And they're like
yeah.
smaller, big
Okay.
ones.
So what happens if you step on the gum?
Nothing. I had to recount all over again. Oh yeah, it's because I would count them, and then when I stepped on them, I was like, oh, I gotta restart. I don't know.
You would count your steps.
No,
So
The
what
gum.
would
the
you count?
gum.
So each gum,
I would count the gum.
she would count. And it was
That
just
makes no sense. Step on the gum, turn into a plum. You brought up you can't step on a crack or you'll break your mama's back. What is that superstition tied to?
So sadly, after surfing the internet, it says something along the lines that it goes back to racism. I know, I wasn't expecting that. Some believe the original version was step on a crack and your mother's baby will be black. Or step on the crack and your mother will turn black, reflecting the negative use of interracial marriage. Oh, that's so sad. In the mid 20th century, it was common to tell children that if they stepped on any cracks in the pavement, they would be eaten for lunch by bears waiting for them around the corner. The modern interpretation today, it's mostly seen as a harmless rhyme or superstition with no real world consequences. Psychological aspect. Some psychologists suggest that avoiding cracks is a form of magical thinking, where people engage in rituals to cope with stress and a sense of lack of control. That is a lot more deeper than I anticipated. I always get triggered with my little brother opens the umbrella inside the house. And I think it also has to do with the fact that my mom thinks it's bad luck or it brings misfortune. Why do you do it? Like, I don't like it. Like, it's.
Because I was showing off my new umbrella.
Do you believe it brings bad luck? Michael, stop. Michael, no.
It's your favorite taquero here with my beloved sisters. And this is the 7th episode of Quack and Chippy.
You better close that umbrella. Umbrellas for the longest time, the way they were made, especially during the Victorian era and the older days, they were like be pokey, or when they would expand, they would like possibly injure people. So that's why they became a tribute to like something bad happening. And then also like in ancient Egypt, people would use umbrellas outside because they were supposed to protect you from like the sun. And so then when you go inside, you are being disrespectful to the sun by using it inside versus using it outside. What is a superstition? Any belief or practice considered by non-practitioners to be irrational or supernatural, attribute to fate or magic, perceived supernatural influence, or fear of that which is unknown. What is like a wild superstition that you've heard?
I don't know if it's a superstition, but if you shave your hair, it grows back thicker. What would that be called?
I think it could be a superstition because technically, scientifically proven it's not true. But I think the hair ends up evolving as you age.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Like
depending on your gender.
And then also,
Although you guys grow a gnarly mustache. No, yeah, but
no, that means that you have hormonal imbalances. So some women do tend to be hairier than others. And it also has to do with where you're geographically located. and where your ancestors come from, because certain areas you're prone to more sun exposure, so I would say that you would grow more hair. And if you also come from ancestors who were born to be hunters and you live in those communities, of course you're going to grow more hair. It's kind of like also skin color. If you live in certain areas of the world, you're going to have more melanin.
These are survival genes. What is the evolutionary purpose of facial hair?
To protect your skin from bacteria, from diseases.
No.
Yes.
It is supposed to protect from bacteria.
It collects bacteria as
No.
well. You know where hair does play a role in terms of like diseases and stuff is in your nose, so that it's harder for them to make it into your system because they get clogged in your hairy nose. But outside of that, the evolutionary purpose of hair would be to keep you warm. It allows you to survive during cold winters.
Other well-known superstitions are if you break a mirror, you have bad luck for 7 years.
That one.
I broke a mirror once when I was in college, and maybe that's the reason why I didn't get higher jobs.
Did you scream?
Yeah, maybe
No, I was
that's why I
upset.
ended up at Taqueros. God damn it! Why did I break the mirror?
The reason why it's believed that breaking a mirror brings bad luck is because from the ancient Roman thought that mirrors reflected one's soul. So a broken mirror was seen as damaging that connection, potentially inviting divine retribution or misfortune for 7 years. And 7 years because that was the period they believe the body and soul renewed itself. Have y'all ever broken a mirror?
Yeah.
No.
If you've broken a mirror, comment down below, and if you think it brought you bad luck, what was the bad luck it brought you?
I was always cautious with my mirrors because since I like to do my hair and do my makeup, I always took care of my mirrors.
Yeah, when I was having sleep paralysis a couple years back, I felt like I kept getting these nightly visits. One of them, I have 4 mirrors in my room for whenever I do my hair. They kind of stick to the wall. And at 3 a.m., one of them fell down and broke. So technically I didn't break it, but it was mine. And it did fall inside my room and it did break. But once again, I feel like kind of similarly to opening up an umbrella, I just picture a little kid doing it. And your parents tell you, don't do this because mirrors are expensive. We purchased this, and so now if you break it, we have to replace it. It's expensive, it costs money, whatever. And so parents tell you these things so that you don't engage in this particular activity.
Brother, I just told you that Asian Romans believed that.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, this is where I came from. Like, this is what I think it comes from. They're over there saying it's a superstition. No, like, them Asians didn't want their kids playing with mirrors.
Another thing about mirrors, that if you had them in front of each other, looking at each other, that spirits could walk through.
Spirits can walk through a mirror?
Yeah, and be around your house. That's why in the Queen Mary, there's a mirror that's in front of the stairs. And if there's another mirror in front of there, that's why there's spirits all around.
Yeah, there's cultures that believe that you shouldn't face certain mirrors, like in certain positions, because then it would bring unwanted energy. Or I guess what Lilo says in her point is ghosts. So it just depends what culture you're.
So if you look at the wrong mirror, you're screwed?
It's not that you look at them, it's just the way you're positioning them.
Yeah.
For example, another superstition is like, the horseshoe. If you point it like this up, that means it's going to bring good luck. So like, and all the good energy and stuff, you're attracting it to your life. But if you point it down, you're not supposed to point it down if you hang it. Another superstition seen as bad luck, let me know in the comments if you have heard it, is spilling salt.
Oh yeah, how did I know?
There's multiple reasons, but one of the reasons is that salt used to be something valuable that you could exchange, like currency. And so if you spilled it or you wasted it, it would cause a lot of disputes and arguments. When they pass the salt, they're not allowed to pass it like this, like from hand to hand. They just kind of like either slide it across the table and it doesn't leave the table.
Salt is something that's very valuable. Once again, a kid coming into the kitchen starts playing with it and it goes to waste. So the mom says, hey, that's bad luck. Your life is screwed.
Okay, then how do you explain this? So the Last Supper depiction, Leonardo da Vinci's painting, Judas, the betrayer of Jesus, knocks over salt. And so it's thought as to signify misfortune and bad luck. And because later on, during Jesus' journey, he ends up betraying him.
Well, you said it. The painter depicted that, because at the time spilling salt is something that is seen as bad luck.
Yeah, but also because he betrayed Jesus, so then Jesus also ended up dying.
Yeah, but
And
no,
so it's just negative. It's just like the association with it was viewed bad.
yeah, and the painter created that.
If you know, people use salt who do like ghost things, they put salt around a circle. That way, if they do a ritual, they're inside the salt and the circle, and the spirits can't enter from it, like to hurt you or whatever.
That's creepy.
And so oftentimes salt is symbolized as something that's demonic.
Yes, that's what's the
Of course,
other point.
that's something that the humans are creating that superstition, but that's not proof of it. And as a cook, as a taquero, imagine if that superstition is real. Like, I'm constantly wasting salt by accident.
If a black cat walks through your path, it's gonna bring bad luck to you. And so when I first got a cat, it was black. And at first I was a little worried about it because I've never had like a pet like that. Being able to have the cat showed me a different perspective of the cat itself. And
And what perspective is that, Jocelyn? Huh? I am fascinated to hear. Did you have conversations with this cat?
I was the only one
that all
who
animals
took care of
are
that
important.
animal.
They all have feelings.
All
and
she
they
would
all-
do,
they all-
I remember, all
Man,
she would
that
do,
cat was annoying.
all she would do
No, she wasn't.
is
You missed
pay
it.
for the food and make me feed it, make me clean the litter box, make me walk it, make me carry it as a baby.
And then
Anyways,
Joss-
when the cat.
They used Jocelyn's bed as a toilet.
That too.
So I'm surprised you're speaking about this in a positive light. I remember when we got rid of that cat, you guys were crying for days.
I cried for a week.
I cried for a day.
No, multiple days. The homegirls were
Yes,
crying.
because it
For a
was
day.
symbolic of other things that I don't want to elaborate on.
I have to say though, like, I actually grew attached to the cat as well. I remember like every single morning I would always get up to go to the restroom, and it would always wait by my door. And as soon as I got out, like, it would start meowing like crazy. It would follow me to the restroom. And the reason for that was it wanted me to open Lilo's door. So then I would walk to Lilo's door, open it, and then the freaking cat would run inside, jump on top of the bed, and then get on top of Lilo so that she can get up to feed her. And we had this cat during the quarantine. So I remember one time, I actually thought this was cute because I was working out in here, like right there. I was doing shoulders with weights, but I was barefoot. And then the freaking cat, it would just watch me. And then one time, it kept wanting to, it would like toy with me. Like, it ran to me, and with its tiny little paw, it would do this.
Well, the thing is, because the cat, Michael was mean to the cat once. He picked her up and he just threw her across the room. I think that day she learned how to fly.
She was at
And
the
so
table.
She wouldn't really mess with Michael at all.
She was at the dinner table, and Michael gets so mad.
Yeah, because she's not supposed
Grabs
to be
her
on the table.
and throws her across the room. She lands like this.
Mom, Jocelyn, and Alito, they're like,
I was scared.
I told the cat many times, do not get on the table. And I saw it on the table. And when the freaking cat wanted my attention, it would pretend like it was gonna get on the table. But it would go by the window, not fully on the table. And then I would just stop and I'll look at it, and then the cat was like. But yeah, I saw it at the kitchen table. I grabbed it and I just launched it across the room. Yeah, but I like I said, I thought it was cute because I was working out barefoot, and it would run to me. It would tap my toe. And then it would run away. And it kept doing that, like, over
like
and over.
tag you
Like,
in.
just like a little tap. And it was, I've never had that sensation on my toe. Like, and like to this day, like, it's like when I think about it, like, I can just feel it. I feel the little paw in my toe. And it's just, no one ever gave me that kind of attention. And so I have to say, when I knew we were giving it away, like, it came out, I was dreaming about it, and I felt bad. I was like, damn. I felt the absence of the cat, for sure. So what does that mean for us? You're not supposed to allow a black cat to cross,
Yeah,
but we
'cause
had
it's
one in
bad
our
luck.
home.
Well, that means that
During COVID, the worst times
Yeah.
in our life. Dun dun dun.
Well, that means that the cat was also a tribute to like witchcraft.
Happiness. Oh.
Wow, two very opposing views right there.
I said
So
happy.
some religions, as Catholic Church, link black cats with the devil and evil spirits. Halloween has also reinforced this superstition, this idea that cats were around people practicing black and white magic.
I said happy because I thought we were talking about socks. Our
Mhm.
cat.
Yeah.
Our old cat.
Another bad thing related to cats that I experienced when we were back in the day, we would sell tacos. Mom and dad were there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there was a cat that kept coming in,
Really?
like a little baby cat. And then one time it tried to come into because it would be chilling and hiding by the store, and then the cat made its way to the back of the kitchen. And when Dad saw it, he got so mad, kicked it in the face, and then the cat started doing backflips like crazy.
No way.
Yeah, and then it was very, very interesting because eventually, a black lady came and she grabbed it, like she opened her car and it just went inside, and she grabbed it and she took it with her, and then I was like, what the heck? And then I told my dad, and then he was like, oh, I kicked it because those bring mala vibras, and you know, like
Bad
that
vibes.
store, like something was off there. It was just not. It didn't feel right.
Wait, so the cat, the lady saw it flip?
No.
Friday the 13th is also a tribute to bad luck or an unlucky day. What do y'all think? Have you all faced anything unlucky on Friday the 13th?
No. I've had bad things happen to me.
But not like
Not
associated with
severe.
Friday the 13th?
Yeah, no.
Mm.
And also, if I had bad things happen to me, it wasn't that severe.
Yeah.
But it was. One of them was a car crash.
Oh. But it
And
didn't happen
Joss-
at 13, right?
No, I don't think so. But like, Johnson pointed out something because I always post, and that day I posted, and me driving the car because we were in and out, and I posted with the song. So then on our way back home, I crashed.
Yeah.
So Johnson pointed that out, and I was like, damn, she's right.
I just told her to like not be oversharing everything. Like nobody needs to know everything that she's doing. I don't like to believe in it, but I have seen videos of where people talk about how sometimes there's people who watch and they don't necessarily have good intentions towards you or you succeeding, so they send bad energy or bad vibes. And that's why a lot of times when my brother does live streams and he's talking about certain things or he's showing certain things, I kind of get upset with him because I think that he's oversharing.
So historically speaking, every time it's Friday the 13th, the stock market does well. And the reason why I bring it up is because right now, because of the Trump's tariffs, the stock market has been the worst since the Great Depression.
Oh wow.
Yeah, with more than I think it was like a 4 points for 3 consecutive days that has been going down. And so there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. It's weird that I was able to tie that to Friday the 13th, but yeah, historically the stock market does well on Friday the 13th. Well, as Jocelyn said, that those evil intentions that people have, and when you overshare on social media, sometimes things don't go well.
And on the topic of evil intention, in our Latin community, we believe in mal de ojo, evil eye. And so that I first heard when I was a kid. And I remember there were babies around and they were like, oh, don't stare at the baby too much. Or don't give it a
Porque
kiss.
le vas a dar ojo.
Porque le vas a dar ojo.
What does that mean though?
I thought it was pink eye, but it just means their eye goes small and they start tearing up.
Yeah, it's
And
like
they get
eye
like
boogers,
a little like
excessive eye boogers.
Yeah.
It's just, which is weird because I remember like I've experienced that as an
eye
adult.
boogers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like, and ironically, it has happened during like terrible times.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wake up in the morning and like filled with eye. I mean, obviously, I don't believe in that, but it's very fascinating. Like, you know, like I open my eyes and it's like there's like a sticky thing and like it's eye boogers because it's like heavy. You ever have that?
I only had it
No.
Like I can
once
see it
that I
between my
was-
eyelashes.
Yeah.
and then right here towards the middle, like
I see
it's
it in
heavy.
your eye for some
That's
reason.
nasty.
The corners here, and then right here, there's at least 2 lines. That's like, it looks like it's slime.
Yeah. So that's supposedly attributed to like bad energy or people like not wanting good things for
Damn.
you.
Stop looking at my
And they
eyes.
say sometimes that
No me miren porque me dan ojo.
curanderos or like people who are known for like treating those kinds of things, they
You
just
know-
grab an egg and they just rub it all over you.
You know,
That's weird.
I have never woken up like that.
That's a
You-
good thing.
I've
I wanna
like
say.
I don't even get that much eye boogers. I don't know if it's because I do my makeup and like I got used to, I don't know, or I'm just clean. I wear masks all the time.
It hasn't happened to me in a long time, but
Mhm.
I remember there was a period where it was just like heavy, and I'm like, yo, this is
That
annoying.
is weird. Sometimes
I think
that's
it's
why people
fascinating.
wear like certain bracelets with little eyeball.
The priests
To avoid that,
Yeah, some wear that.
and kind of like my experiences with TikTok has inspired me to not overshare. One of the worst nights of sleep that I have ever had was that night stream that I did at the hotel, where after work I'm streaming the dinner and I'm just talking to TikTok, and then after dinner I go upstairs and I show you guys my room. The worst sleep in my entire life. I could not sleep. Like the thoughts that I was having, like it was just terrible. And ever since then, I'm just like, I'm never showing you guys again. And it's like, then I thought about it. I was like, who are the top streamers here on TikTok? And what do they do? And you know who came up to mind? Lalo.
Mhm.
How does he do his streams?
I've
He's
never gone on. He's just showing himself.
Yeah, he's like in his room. I assume
But
it's
like-
his room, but he doesn't show anything.
But like for example, Kai and him, they just show their room. They don't show what they
a little-
have.
yeah.
And like the most Kai, I think he rents out a house, cause he's even showered in his live stream,
That's weird.
but with shorts.
And it's like whenever these people like do something that involves them going out, it doesn't end well. Like they get stream sniped and I'm sorry, not stream sniped,
What's
something
stream
else.
snipe?
That's a video game term.
Oh.
But essentially, they get swatted. So people know their location, so they call the cops, and then they just show up, and then SWAT. Whenever that happens, they break into your home and with guns and everything, and then
Oh wow.
they have to they search the entire place, and then they
That's
investigate. Yeah. And it's happened in homes, or for example, whenever they're in vehicles, they're just eating food, and then they overshare. Because remember, one time I told you, don't tell people we're at In-N-Out, or like if
Whatever location
yeah,
you're around, like
yeah, exactly.
Cold Stone and Ross.
like one time we were like, oh, we're going to Cold Stone, and then Jocelyn was like, oh look, there's Ralph's. Oh look, there's a Starbucks right next to Cold Stone. I'm like, geez, thanks, just tell them that.
Yeah.
And then she was like, I think it was like a Subway. I'm like, I haven't been to Subway in a very long time. Like, Jesus, you just gave them our exact location. No, but like, imagine we're just there chilling,
And then
eating
all of a
ice cream,
sudden
and then the
somebody
cops
comes.
just come up and they're like, hey, put your hands up, get out.
I mean, remember when this happened a really long time. It was during our TikTok hype when we had a lot of live streams and we were catering at a hospital. All of a sudden, a streamer ended up like recognizing where the location was at. And so they called the hospital while we were catering and they were like, yeah, something's happening with Fernando. And the person, the nurse or the doctor came up to us and they're like, I'm sorry, we have a call and your father or somebody is sick, or I don't know what they said, uncle or father. But the point is, they started saying these things, and I was just like, what? That's not true. That can't be. Essentially, I was so pissed because I couldn't believe, like, somebody would go out of their way to do something like that. It was a hospital, and we were working, and this is serious, and the nurse was, like, very concerned, or receptionist, or whoever took the call. They were, like, worried, and they ended up hanging up, and I told them, oh, no, and so then that way, I ended up like moving the phone and the way it was set.
And that just like goes to show, like, I mean, right now, I think we didn't have, I remember that stream, like, it was just like 700 people. Like, we still haven't gotten that crazy clout.
No,
And
I think
so-
during that time we would get
No.
the streams pretty high. Another superstition that I thought was a little interesting because I've never heard of this is you're not supposed to whistle inside.
What?
I know.
I feel like I've
Okay,
heard it, but I don't know where I heard
Because
it.
it's supposed to be bad luck.
See, once again,
No, but
a
it
parent
makes sense. It makes sense.
is
So
telling
when
his kid,
I don't even
Listen.
know how
hey,
to whistle.
you're whistling.
No,
Stop. It's fucking
Listen
annoying.
why it makes
Stop
sense.
whistling
Listen to the
because
story.
bad luck is gonna happen.
No, because there's this time where, you know, they didn't have headsets in theater production. And so they had to use whistling as a form of communication between the actors, the stage prop people. And so then there was a time period when they would whistle, and so I guess the audience caught on. And it would symbolize like a transition of scene. So this is back in the day. They didn't have the headset. And so they would whistle, like let's say Michael and I were in charge of changing the backdrop. So then I would be like, and then that would be like a symbolism saying like, okay, we have to change it to number 2. And so we would change it. But then since the audience caught on, they would also whistle. And so they would get the wrong signal and they would think it was time to transition from scene. So then it would cause accidents because not everybody was in the same page. So if somebody in the audience whistled, we would change the backdrop, but then the actor was standing there, so then the backdrop would hit him and then they would die. So it was because of that. So it has some merit to it.
Wait, whistle again?
Yeah, again, that's the same concept that I was saying. Somebody is doing something that's annoying that they're not supposed to be doing because it's not.
Yeah, and in some other cultures,
It's kind of like streaming.
believe that it brings like the ghost and evil spirits out, but I don't know.
What happens when you have a dog and you want to call him?
When you're training it.
What
You
happens
call
when-
it by its name.
What happens when you see your homie and you're trying to get his attention?
I don't know. I don't whistle to my homies.
What happens when the hyena
You don't
passes
whistle?
by and you're like,
You don't even.
Whistles mean different things. Knocking on wood is supposed to ward off bad luck and bad energy and bad vibes. So when you say something, I hope it doesn't happen, and then you knock on wood. Do you know where that comes from?
no.
Do you knock on wood?
I don't knock on wood. I do the 5-second rule though. Where you get, if I drop food,
My best friend knocks on wood all the time.
What do you think
Yeah.
taqueros do? Like they have a party to cater to and then they end up spilling food. Do you think they would put it back?
They shouldn't.
I hope not. I mean, that's happened to you, and I just laugh at you and I get mad at you because you wasted a whole tray of carnitas. That happened. I was mad. I was like, they look good.
I think some things maybe like if you were to drop lemons and then you could just go rinse them off. I feel like some people might do that. Or like if you have fruits too, like you have a watermelon that rolls or something, you might still use the watermelon and you just rinse it off. So
People wash it.
I feel like it would vary on the case. And also sometimes that I also feel kind of weird doing is like, you know, when people drop chips on the table,
Mhm.
the tablecloth, do I pick them up, put them back in the thing, or do I leave them there or throw them away?
Mm.
I never know what the right thing is. I feel like I've seen mixed reviews.
Yeah, but do you understand how difficult that must be for a taquero when you're not even charging what you're supposed to? Are you as a business owner, would you lose money?
Yes, but that's when.
I mean, it's something you kind of have to do sometimes. Like there was a lot of times when I was first starting off, learning how to cook rice and things, I would burn it, and I ended up throwing a bunch of it. I think if we weren't the business owners, I would have gotten in trouble.
You know, that's proof of a faulty system, not necessarily your fault. Unless you're like, oh, you're on your phone instead of taking care of the rice, then that would make sense.
You wouldn't get mad at somebody if they dropped your product because that happened to you in front of you.
I mean, it was already the ending of the gig, and one of
True
the
that.
individuals that was helping us out that day forgot to close the camera box, and so we were walking down the driveway, and that's why I was kind of telling them to kind of wait for me to come back to move things, because I like to double check and triple check things, especially when I'm working with new people, because I don't know how their system goes, and I understand that everybody has different ways of working. And so they forgot to close the camera box, and so when they were rolling the box down, it opened, and then the chicken tray came down and it dropped some chicken. Luckily we were done with the event, so it didn't really matter, but it did leave like a little bit of like a stain on the driveway, so I had to like clean it up. He was very apologetic, but in my head at that moment when I saw it, I did get angry, but I was like, you know, I can't, like, what is yelling gonna do, or saying something to him in that instant. I did tell him, like, you're supposed to close the box and you have to double check before moving it. But that was it.
Up until now, mistakes when it comes to spills have not greatly impacted because, as Jocelyn said, in that case it happened after the gathering was already completed, and they happen in such a way where you can make up for them.
Do you have like a ritual or a superstition that you follow when you're gonna work in catering or in school? For example, a lot of sports people, for example, Messi, the soccer player, wears his left boot first, then his right. He often steps onto the field with his left foot first. Michael Jordan wore his University of North Carolina shorts under his Chicago Bulls uniform for good luck during every game. Serena Williams ties her shoe laces in a certain way, bounces the ball 5 times before her first serve. She also brings her shower sandals to the court and won't change them. So do you guys do something in specific before taking a test? I know Lilo's still in school. Or Ismael, before you go cater, do you wear
Before I enter
socks?
the client's house, I rub my feet on the mat before entering the home.
So all the time you do that?
Yeah.
Even if there's no mat?
Yeah.
You just like rub your feet on the floor?
Yeah.
Why?
Sign of education. Proper manners.
Because you're cleaning your feet?
Mm-hmm.
You might as well take them off, the shoes.
No.
I think I rely on my good luck to God. Literally.
Yeah.
And then anything bad that happens to me, like for example, last weekend, the avocado bag was just ripped and gushing out.
It's God's fault.
No.
Um,
It's my fault.
Because you didn't bring the bowl.
Yeah.
When I go bowling, I do a turn. My spin, and then I bowl and then knock off the pins. Celebrities with rituals or superstitions. Beyonce. She has a specific playlist that she listens to before her shows and wears a special pair of lucky heels. Lady Gaga. She believes in spiritual energy and has admitted to burning sage before performing backstage to cleanse the bad vibes. Taylor Swift. She rides the lucky number 13. So before every concert, every performance, she went into the habit of writing it. And now her fans also do it. But 13 is also like, I think, her birthday number. But it's interesting though, because she likes the number 13, and 13 is usually a tribute to bad luck. So
fascinating.
Adele suffers from intense stage fright. So she has a routine before shows that includes a specific cup of tea and silence.
Tea. I love tea.
Rihanna reportedly always prays before hitting the stage and avoids wearing green. Some cultures consider it unlucky for performers.
Before, when I was away from my religion, I think this was like in high school, in middle school, I believed in 11:11.
Oh, yeah, I have a friend too. Every time it turns 11 o'clock and she sees it, she's like, 11:11, make a wish.
Mm-hmm.
Who believes in 11:11?
It doesn't work.
Comment down below and leave your thoughts. So some common Mexican superstitions, and something that happened to me when I was growing up is, you know, when they say do not sweep a woman's legs.
Oh, yeah.
My mom would always say that.
says that to me too.
Yeah, she would be like, no, no le varas los pies a Jocelyn, because she's gonna not get married, or she's gonna marry the bald guy.
No, se va a casar con una viuda.
Se va a casar,
That's what my mom says
yeah.
to me.
So sweeping the feet of a single woman is seen as a bad omen, believed to sweep away their chance of finding love.
I'm over superstitions. Can we move on?
No. And then the other one that's commonly well known that I don't know why Michael didn't mention is tortillas. So the tortilla does not puff up, it means I'm not getting married. And so there's a lot of times where the tortilla doesn't puff off.
Another one that
Other times
TikTok
you do.
always mentions to me when I'm cutting onions, that if you cut onions and you cry, según eres celoso.
Superstition that I thought was really weird was eclipses. So apparently in Mexico and certain places, they believe that if you let a pregnant woman see an eclipse, their baby will be born with deformities. If you see the dog poop, you're gonna get a pimple in your eye.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
You never heard of that one, Michael?
Dad would say that.
Yeah.
And he said that when he was a kid, him and his friends, every time they see a dog shitting, they would crowd it, and it would be like this. They would do this with their fingers,
Yeah.
and supposedly the dog couldn't finish shitting, so they would somehow constipate it by doing that.
I wonder
Yeah,
if
so
I do it to you.
because of that,
Guess-
Yeah, when Justin's in the restroom, I'm always...
Michael, that's fucked up. You were in that. If you were a kitchen appliance, what appliance would you be and why?
I would definitely be a microwave.
Microwave?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because I'm always hot and ready.
So
What?
fucking whack, right?
Long term, I'm unhealthy for you.
A refrigerator, because I like to be cold.
Oh, I thought you said because
should've
you always
said-
have food.
Yeah, you should have said. You should have
Ah!
said. I was gonna say refrigerator because I always like to eat. You should have just said that. If I was a kitchen appliance, I would be a dishwasher because I'm always washing dishes.
I ran into this video on TikTok, and I wanted to show you to get your reaction to see what you guys think. Currently, is trending 216,000 views. But this is family related, sibling related.
So imagine you let your older brother borrow $3,000. He asks you for help. He tells you he's struggling with paying rent. His hours got cut at work. Like, he's just struggling and he needs help. You being a good sister, you decide to help him, but you do tell him like, hey, I'm gonna need that money eventually. Like, you can't like go years without paying me back. Like, I need you to pay me back. And your brother's like, yeah, like, let me just wait till tax season. Like, I'll pay you. And you're like, okay. Tax season goes by, he receives his taxes, and he tells you that his car broke down, that he doesn't have the money. Next year comes by, and again the same thing, something came up and he can't pay you back. So 2 years have gone by. And then you start hearing by your mom and your other siblings that he's starting to plan his daughter's quinceañera, which you're confused about because I thought you had no money, right? So you don't bring it up, you kind of just stay quiet and see how it goes. And then you receive a text, a family group chat, asking you, what do you want to be madrina for? Like, what do you want to help with for the quinceañera? And you're kind of like, okay, like, I'm not gonna help you when you owe me money. So you talk to your mom about it, and you're like, Mom, like, I thought he didn't have money to pay his rent. Like, I thought he needed all this help. And then look at him, he's like planning his daughter's quinceañera when he hasn't even paid me back. The mom's like, oh my God, don't make anything a big problem right now. Like, it's not that big of an issue. Like, you'll be fine. You have a good job. And the whole point is that he doesn't care that he owes you money.
Asked the sister for $3,000, and he hasn't paid her back, and now his daughter is having a quinceañera, and he sent to the family group chat, what are you guys gonna help for? What are you guys gonna be padrinos for my daughter's quinceañera? And the sister confronts him about the money she owes him. And it turns into a big argument, obviously, and she is no longer invited to the quinceañera.
Well, I don't know if it's because I grew up seeing this or because our family is like this, but growing up, I've always seen that in quinceañeras, you always help, no matter what the situation is. So in that situation, I think I would have just helped you for your daughter. Because if I have a stable job, at the end of the day, you're my brother. She said that he was gonna pay her back. And I guess right now it's not the time.
Well, I think if the brother and her made an agreement that he was supposed to pay her back, he should keep his word because men are supposed to be a man of word. But if he clearly hasn't paid her back, I think she should just move on and just take it as an experience of not letting him borrow money because he's clearly not going to pay it back. And it becomes tricky when you do have a family because maybe the brother did take advantage of the situation. And then the girl also has to see, like, if she doesn't really need the money, then why is she asking it
now?
Like, if you were giving it, just give it. And like they say, don't expect for it to come back. Especially if there was an agreement. But if there was an agreement if there was no agreement and he just didn't give it back, like, I mean, I guess it could irk you. There's some people like that. You hold grudges. I mean, it sucks that she got uninvited to the quinceañera. It just shows that both of them don't care about their relations as siblings. And I think I've learned over the years that you don't always have to agree with your siblings, but sometimes you need a compromise. And if she loves her brother enough, she would just drop it and just don't let him borrow money.
How would you feel about somebody owes you money, but they're going on vacation?
If they're family, then I'll be pissed.
It's
I
the
mean,
same thing.
that's what I said. Like, I would just end up dropping it.
same
I
thing,
just
Lilo.
don't. But it also depends because, like, obviously, if it's a cousin and I let them borrow money, I know the risks that come with letting them borrow money. So that's why I know in my head that I'm probably not gonna get it back. So I can't hold it against them, kind of thing. I don't think that is responsible for him to be throwing a quinceañera, especially if he claims to not have money.
Why would he put her in a group chat and ask for help?
I mean, he
That
could
is
still.
a slap in the face.
I think in it's a custom in the Latin community that when you throw quinceañeras, you ask for padrinos and you expect them to contribute. And I think our parents have always been against that because even when I had my quinceañera, they didn't ask for padrinos. So anybody who did or was a padrino, it was because they wanted to.
Yeah,
give.
that's how it is. It's like, oh,
No,
hey,
it's usually
hey,
customary.
we're having Lilo's quinceañera, and then you announce it to the family, and then whoever, obviously people are gonna come by and then say, oh, hey, I'll get you this, I'll get you that, and that's how it's supposed to be. But this guy like owes his sister money,
No, people.
and then he goes out of his way to ask her for help.
Sometimes people volunteer.
It should be
But,
that way. I don't think it's like something.
Traditionally, like people,
Nah.
yes,
You're not gonna walk up into
yes,
someone's house
but
and say, hey,
yes, they do.
are you gonna
Ask
help me
mom.
with this?
Yes,
I don't know
ask
about
mom.
that.
I was.
I'd be
They
like,
did
get
it
Yes,
for mine.
they did it. They had a bunch.
They
The
did
thing.
it for my quince. Everybody pitched.
Why do you think when they do like the invitations or they do the church ceremony or the dance, they say padrino? They mention all the padrinos. It's because they all gave and they all were asked. So it's something that people do.
Like the way he should have gone about this is like, oh, I'm gonna throw my daughter a quinceañera because obviously she wants one. I'm not in a financially capable position, but this is something that she can't wait. Obviously, because she's turning 15 one time in her life, so we're going to do this for my daughter. But he can ask everyone except the person that he owes money to.
I feel like you will end up in her ear though because.
Yeah, exactly. And then at that point,
But then how about if she gets offended because she wasn't asked?
Mhm.
no, it's like, hey, like she's gonna get an invite. She's
She
like,
would
hey,
never win.
no,
regardless.
because she's like, oh, hey, sister, you're invited. We're gonna have a quinceañera for your niece. We can't wait to share this experience with you. And then at that moment, if she wants to donate or give something, be a madrina for something, she'll voice her opinion, right? But when you owe money to this individual, and on top of that, you go out of your way to ask for help, that is like, what? It kind of doesn't make sense to me.